Welcome to the Informed Fitness Podcast, 20 minutes with New York Times bestselling author Adam Zickerman.
In this podcast, we're going to discuss my original vision for how we started Informed Fitness and where I want Informed Fitness to go and where we think exercise should go in the future. It's nice to see that my original intuition over 20 years ago has been validated by some recent science. So we're going to bring on some scientists in this industry, some great testimonials from clients that have experienced this. I'm going to be bringing in musicians and very interesting people, bodybuilders talking about how little they actually work out. It's going to shed some light on some very important topics.
Informed Nation, thanks for being with us once again. I'm Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network. We have Sheila, we have Mike, and we have Adam, the founder of Informed Fitness and New York Times bestselling author of Power of 10, the once-a-week slow-motion fitness revolution. That's what this show is all about, supercharging your metabolism, increasing your cardiovascular endurance, and getting you leaner and stronger to enjoy your health and your life to the fullest. In today's episode, we'll discuss working out with free weights versus machine weights versus your own body weight, and the equipment you can expect to see when becoming a member of Informed Nation. Mike, let's start with you. Give us a quick rundown on the type of equipment Informed Fitness uses to support the Power of 10.
In regards to the machines versus the free weight versus body weight, Informed Fitness here in New York, we have the Rolls-Royce set up here, as Adam has said many times before, in all of the locations in California, Virginia, et cetera. Our machines, they're outstanding. They're made by Nautilus, they're made by Medix, and they're all retrofitted for our style of weight training to accommodate for the strength curves of the body.
I never knew what a strength curve was until I got certified and went through all this, information. Basically, it's like when you start out a movement, like what Mike just said, you go through this movement in the muscle group that you're isolating. At the start of it, you're normally a little weaker. And then there's a point in that movement that you're the strongest. And then there becomes another point where it's weaker. And what we want to do is stimulate that strongest part of the movement. So if you're in the middle of this, compound row, and in the middle of it where you're strongest, you can do 150 pounds, but at the back you can't, or at the very beginning, the equipment allows for the resistance to fall off where your strength curve is the weaker part. And then you get that the best stimulus in the middle of it.
And this cannot be accomplished, I'm sure, with free weights or regular machines that you would see at a conventional gym.
There are tricks. You can simulate cams on free weights if you know how to use them properly. Like a lateral raise, you wouldn't be standing straight up if you lean to the side while you did a lateral raise. You actually, in effect, create a cam that's proper and congruent. So if you know what you're doing, if you understand the limitations of free weights and how to work around them, you can have a very intense and safe workout. One thing that I think we overemphasize, that people give more importance than is actually needed, is this concept called full range of motion, that we need to go to a full range of motion. And some people in the older generation might remember this, but there used to be, a protocol called statics or isometric training. And that's where you don't move at all. You don't go through any range of motion at all. You just fatigue the muscle just by pushing and using the muscle in a stationary position, but pushing as hard as you can until it exhausts. And you got good results from doing statics or isometrics. The range of motion, for a lot of situations, in trying to maximize that range of motion, can end up being a very dangerous situation. When you're at the extremes of the range of motion, those are the most vulnerable parts of the muscle, the most stretched position. That's where things tear and go you can get really dangerous. I like to stay right in that mid-range. And unless you have specialized equipment, you should stay in that mid-range and avoid the extremes. Only with retrofitted equipment where the machine makes it actually lighter, where we're in our most vulnerable and weakest positions. So the weight is not being taken over by the connective tissue because the muscle can't handle it all right in that position. So that's why we retrofit our machines. And we do get a little bit more range of motion using machines like that. But again, I don't really care about maximum range of motion. It doesn't matter. You can strengthen a muscle group or a single muscle by just working it really deeply in a static position, in its strongest position, in the middle position.
Honestly, Adam, I think one of the best examples of that is the leg extension, because of all the controversy and all of the studies and all of the it's over the last, as long as I've been a trainer, there's been a lot of news articles and studies that have said the leg extension is absolutely the worst machine and one of the most dangerous machines in the gym. And the thing is, well, the question is, how are you doing the study? How are they doing the exercise? How is the leg extension set up? And, for example, Adam could describe probably the best exactly the alignment of the seat and how it drops off at the top. Where if it doesn't do that, if you are going through a fuller range of motion, you are putting your knee in a lot of jeopardy at a regular gym, versus at our leg extension makes that accommodations if you're going to a fuller range of motion. But as Adam just sort of stated, often in many cases, it's not necessary to do so.
A leg extension is a rotary movement. The rotary movements are more challenging for free weights. And a leg extension does have risk associated with it if you don't. But so our leg extension machine has a lot of retrofits done to it to make it a safe machine and exercise. Without getting into all the details, if somebody was to say to me, I want to do this exercise on my own and I belong to a gym, what should I do? I would not have them do the leg extension machine, because I don't know what kind of machine they have it, and it's harder to use that correctly. I would keep them on the basic leg presses. That's what you can do on your own. Or a wall squat is even safer, these compound movements versus the rotary movements. So right there would be how somebody can do this on their own, just knowing what machines to avoid, what exercises to avoid, and what is more effective given that you have crude equipment or free weights available to you. There's ways, again, of having an incredible workout in a full gym and avoid 90% of the equipment that's in that gym.
Adam, you have state-of-the-art equipment at all of the Inform Fitness locations across the country. Can you briefly just kind of run through this type of equipment that you have? What makes it so special for Inform Fitness and this type of workout?
The key to this type of workout, the impetus for this workout in general, lifting weights slowly, was to make it safer. And the special equipment is just one more step in that direction of making it safer. And one way you make exercise safer is making sure that while you're fatiguing a muscle, you're not doing anything harmful to the joints around that muscle. And that's where the specialized equipment really shines. Because when you go through a range of motion through a particular exercise, let's take the bicep curl, for example. When you start the bicep curl, when your arm is straight versus when it's bent at a 90-degree angle, that change in range of motion, your muscle is not the same strength. It's much weaker when you start the position, 20% about weaker than it is in the 90-degree angle. So if you can handle 100 pounds in the strongest position, that means you can only handle about 80 pounds in the weak position. And what does this macho tough guy do when he wants to do bicep curls? He takes the most weight he can handle, which is 100 pounds in the strongest position. So he takes a 100-pound dumbbell, and he starts in a weak position that can only handle 80. What's going to make up the other 20%? Well, I can tell you this. Whatever is making it up, it's not good. That's the connective tissue of the elbow, of the shoulder, of the back, needing to heave and hoe just to get that extra 20%. And there's no good that comes from that. And if you do that regularly for all these kind of exercises, for all the joints, all the time, there's an insidious negative effect to all that. Because you might not have tendonitis on day one doing that. But if you keep doing it, where you're straining the joints in order to lift the weight in a certain position, over time it's going to bite you. So our equipment just makes it lighter in the weaker points and makes it heavier in the stronger points, so it matches that strength curve. And therefore, you're not straining the joints and connective tissue is not doing the work of what the major muscles should be doing.
So as we wrap up this episode on machine versus free weights versus body weight exercises, Adam, you did say that you don't need to be at an Inform Fitness location in order to perform a high-intensity, slow-motion strength training system. There are safe ways to go about this with free weights and body weights, but you do need some type of a trainer and some education before you take this type of a workout outside of an Inform Fitness gym.
Yes, you do. And it doesn't take a lot. Knowing some of the pitfalls of free weights and certain exercises, knowing to stay away from some of the dangerous things, it wouldn't take too long to know more than most trainers out there, actually.
Well, a good first step might be to pick up Adam's book, Power of 10, the once-a-week slow-motion fitness revolution. Inside the book, you'll find several workouts that support this slow-motion, high-intensity strength training system. Whether you use free weights, your own body weight, or are fortunate enough to live near an Inform Fitness location. By following the 3 pillars Adam discusses in his book, along with just a small investment of 20 to 30 minutes a week, it won't be long until you start seeing some measurable results and achievements from your newfound strength.
How about, hey, Adam, guess what? For the first time, I was able to put my stuff in the overhead compartment in the airplane without some young gentleman offering me any help. I did it myself. How about that small achievement that is a big deal to a lot of people right now?
Just the everyday tasks alone is worth it. A very small price to pay. Truly, 20 minutes.
That's the real functional training right there.
Yeah.
And then I'll take it to the older, to the senior crowd. I heard one of our friends, Greg Burns, who had some very senior, they were probably in their late 70s. They loved going on cruises, and the wife had been very upset because they couldn't go on cruises anymore because she couldn't like walk around that well. They started working out, doing this workout, and within the next year, like they did it for about a year, and they went on a cruise, and she was so happy. She felt like she had their life back again because she didn't have to have a wheelchair. She could walk around on her own. And it's that kind of a level. It goes from snowboarding, gardening, whatever, to simply being able to walk and balance yourself.
Yeah, I've heard recently also the same thing. Senior used to have to go upstairs, but up one step and meet the other foot with the other foot, and then up the next step, and so basically, and then would go on from that to one step to the next step to the next step to the next step. So it's like little stuff like that, and it becomes very noticeable.
And what is this older person going to do if they didn't have us? Like, what kind of other strength training that involves the necessary intensity? What are they going to do if it's not this? What is an older person that has problems walking up a flight of stairs, for example? As simple as that. One flight of stairs, they have major pain and problems with it. What are they going to do if they're that far gone already that they can't even walk up a flight of stairs? What else are they going to do? What is their option? A walking program? I don't think so. What is it?
No.
They got to strength train. How the hell? They're going to do it? Are they going to join a CrossFit class?
Like physical therapy is the other option.
And they may find other exercise alternatives, but probably one that's not gonna. They might not hurt them along the way. You know, it's very difficult to do that, and that's why
they got to strengthen the muscle, and they got to do it without any force because they're so weak already. They can't afford any additional force that's not necessary. They can't afford it. They'll break.
So let me ask you this then. So how old is too old to call Inform Fitness and say, I'd like to sign up for a high-intensity, slow-motion strength training program? How old is too old?
That's a good question.
Dead.
Honestly, I don't think we can answer that. I don't know if there's an answer to that question, but we could say we have people in their 90s. We have a 92-year-old woman who's on our website. We have a nice video of her. And we've had another 90-year-old who would still be here, but she moved to Baltimore. Remember, Adam? Yep. So it's like, we have several in their 80s, several in their 70s, lots in their 70s.
More than several.
Yeah, lots and lots.
You forget they're in their 70s, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
Honestly, like anybody that's over 60 and working out here, I think they're all 60. Like I basically say, we have a lot of people in their 60s, but it turns out that a lot of the people that I think are in their 60s are actually in thetheir 70s.
So we found the fountain of youth at Inform Fitness, and it's not a magic pill. There's work that goes into it, but like Adam was saying, a 20-minute a week investment is about as minimal as it gets. It's safe, and it's effective. And we've interviewed people over the last couple of months, Sheila, with the videos that we've been producing that I think they're in their 50s. And I'm not kidding, with no exaggeration. They're in their late 60s or early 70s. And Keith comes to mind. In particular, we're going to be talking about Keith here coming up shortly in another episode, a very charismatic gentleman. And I think he's 70-something. Is that correct? 71?
72.
He's 72, for goodness sake. My gosh,
and
I thought
he's like solid muscle.
Yeah.
And talk about intense. He just really goes intense,
So if we have people listening, we know, just looking at demographics, a lot of older people, baby boomers, don't necessarily listen to podcasts, but we know their kids do or their grandkids do. So if you're a child or a grandchild of somebody you love that you think could use some physical conditioning, you might want to give Inform Fitness a call or check them out on the website. So
not only that, I don't want to seem like we're only for old people too. We have, younger people that are, we have 15-year-olds. We have a number of like in their late 20s to, early 30s. And they don't have time. They're trying to build their lives. They're working. They're starting to get into their, the peak of their, careers. And they love this workout, So we have, grandson and a grandmother coming in, and it's funny because he was like, look, my grandma can lift more weight than some of the girls I know, which is true because she's been coming in religiously and just doing it, just slowly building and consistent.
Yeah, the workout is certainly for everybody. I have an 11-year-old client. I have athletes, very serious athletes here, and it's for everybody. The whole point before was just that because a lot of people get very concerned about how much they can actually exercise when they get into their golden years and even up to like their 90s, in which we have them here. So and they're thriving. So the limit is pretty much nowhere.
There is no limit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only limit, there are two limits. There are definitely some orthopedic or medical contraindications to exercise. That's how we gauge whether there are limitations to this, not age. Age in and of itself, it doesn't matter. It's really the state of the person. There are some medical issues that need to be dealt with and cleared with some medical doctors. But the other limitation that I think that exists more than anything else is the mental limitation. Mm-hmm. If you can get somebody to kind of let go and really push themselves to an uncomfortable level that they might not be used to, if you can get them to break through that barrier, it opens up a whole world in a profound way, way beyond just getting stronger, actually.
Not just to their physical abilities, but when you're physically pushed to the point of failure in a specific movement, I know for a fact that mental shift can also take place in anything you do in life. I believe that what we learn in those 7 or so exercises in that 20 minutes can be applied outside in every area of your life, not just in your body.
I think absolutely. When we push ourselves in almost any capacity, and then afterwards we take a proper rest, our body grows, our mind grows, or like you wouldn't if you didn't sleep, your memory wouldn't improve. All these things, all of your cognitive abilities, and it applies to everything. And that's where. How do you do that in a safe fashion? And I think Informed Fitness and the method that Adam has developed here is your best option.
That was really cheesy. I kind of liked that moment for a while there.
Are we getting deep?
A little cheese every once in a while. As long as you're not lactose intolerant.
Oh my God!
Never underestimate the power of cheese.
And I'll go there all day, Adam.
Yeah, just cut back on putting that cheese in your mouth if you're looking to shed a little fat while you're building your muscle with the power of 10. Again, check out Adam's book for a simple and handy list of food that you should avoid and enjoy in Chapter 3, Nutrition, the second pillar. We'll provide you a link to Adam's book in the show notes. Well, that episode went by fast. If you started your high-intensity training with Informed Fitness at the start of this episode, you'd be wrapping it up about now, just like we are. Hey, we're going to be kicking off a new segment called Fitness, Fact, or Fiction in the next couple of episodes. So if you would like to ask Adam, Mike, or Sheila a question, maybe you have a comment regarding the power of 10, or maybe you saw something on your Facebook feed regarding the many fitness trends that are making the rounds, send us an email. or record a voice memo on your phone and send it to podcast@informfitness.com. You can even give us a call at 888-983-5020, extension 3, to leave your comment, question, or suggestion. All feedback is welcome. And seriously, this is very important to us. The best way to support this show and keep it free is to subscribe to the podcast right here in iTunes or wherever you might be enjoying your podcast. Of course, it is absolutely free to subscribe, and we would love it if you left us a review. Hey, our next 4 episodes promise to be both entertaining and educational. In this podcast, you've heard a lot about weightlifting, but not a lot regarding cardio. Should you hang on to that treadmill that's collecting dust in your garage, or continue paying for that spin class you hardly ever go to? Or is the cardio you need included in your 20-minute workout with Inform Fitness? We'll discuss the cardio conundrum and fat loss in the next 2 episodes. Plus, we'll be speaking with a very talented musician who's lost 118 pounds over the past 2 years by adding the Power of 10 workout to her weight loss program. We'll catch you next week right here on the Inform Fitness Podcast. For Adam Zickerman, Mike Rogers, and Sheila Melody, I'm Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network.